Yasodhanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Yamuna Tira Shrimad Divine Grace, founder of Iskana Bhai Charnadavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Granthraj Shrimadbhagavatam Ki Their most merciful Lordship Shri Harikunja Bihari Ki Shri Jagannath Shri Baladev Mai Subhadra Ki Shri Radhaji Shri Balagopal Ki Shri Gaurnitai Ki Nitai Gopri. All glories to the assembled. All glories to the assembled. All glories to the assembled. All glories to the Lord and Spirit of Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Nayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Kodaya Mudiraya Nasta Prayashu Bhadreshu
Nishprayeshu Bhadreshu
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Nityam Bhagavati Sevaya
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke
Bhaktir Bhagavati Naistaki.
Bhaktir Bhagavati Naistaki.
Reading from Shrimadbhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 7, text 30, 32, 31, 32, 32. Prajopadravam
Prajopadravam
Alakshya
Alakshya
Prajopadravam Alakshya
Prajopadravam Alakshya
Loka
Loka
Vyatikaram
Yatikaram
Cha
Cha
Tam
Tam
Loka Vyatikaram Cha Tam
Loka Vyatikaram Cha Tam
Matam
Matam
Cha
Cha
Vasudevasya
Vasudevasya
Matam Cha Vasudevasya
Matam Cha Vasudevasya
Sanjahara Juno
Sanjaharjuno
Dvayam
Vayam
Sanjahara Juno Dvayam
Sanjaharjuno Vayam
Rajapadravamalakshya
Rajopadravam Alakshya
Rajapadravamalakshya Lokavyatikaram Chatam
Lokavyatikaram Chattam
Lokavyatikaram Chatam
Lokavyatikaram Chatam
Matam Cha Vasudevasya
Matam Cha Vasudevasya
Matam Cha Vasudevasya
Matam Cha Vasudevasya
Sanjahar Arjuna Dvayam
Sanjaharjuno Vayam
Sanjahar Arjuna Dvayam
Prajopadravam Alakshya
Prajopadravamalakshya
Lokavyatikaram Chatam
Lokavyatikaram Chatam
Matam Cha Vasudevasya
Matam Cha Vasudevasya
Sanjaharjuno
Sanjahar Junodvayam.
Prajopadravam Alakshya
Prajopadravam Alakshya
Loka Vyatikaram Chatam
Lokavyatikaram Chatam
Matam Cha Vasudevasya
Matam Cha Vasudevasya
Sanjaharjuno Devayam
Sanjahar Junodvayam. Prajo, the people in general. Upadravam, disturbance. Alakshya, having seen it. Loka, the planets. Vyatikaram, destruction. Cha, also. Tam, that. Matam cha, and the opinion. Vasudevasya, of Vasudev, Shri Krishna. Sajahara, retracted. Arjuna, Arjun. Dvaya, both the weapons. Prajopadravam Alakshya Lokavyatikaram Chatam Matam Cha Vasudevasya Sanjahara Arjuna Dvayam. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Thus, seeing the disturbance of the general populace and the imminent destruction of the planets, Arjuna at once retracted both Brahmastra weapons as Lord Krishna desired. Please repeat. Thus seeing the disturbance of the general populace and the imminent destruction of the planets, Arjuna at once retracted both Brahmastra weapons as Lord Shri Krishna desired. Thus, seeing the disturbance of the general populace and the imminent destruction of the planets, Arjuna at once retracted both Brahmastra weapons as Lord Krishna desired. Purport by his divine grace of The theory that the modern atomic bomb explosions can annihilate the world is a childish imagination. First of all, the atomic energy is not powerful enough to destroy the world. And secondly, ultimately, it all rests on the supreme will of the Supreme Lord. Because without his will or sanction, nothing can be built up or destroyed. It is foolish also to think that natural laws are ultimately powerful. Material nature's law works under the direction of the Lord, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. The Lord says that natural laws work under his supervision. The world can be destroyed only by the will of the Lord and not by the whims of tiny politicians. Lord Sri Krishna desired that the weapons released by both Drauni and Arjuna be withdrawn, and it was carried out by Arjuna at once. Similarly, there are many agents of the all-powerful Lord, and by his will only can one execute what he desires. Om Jnana-timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshushoonmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I wanted to point out when I chant Srila Prabhupada's pranams when we're chanting Jai Prabhupada, if we say Prabhupadad, we're saying the spiritual master has passed gas. And then when we say Shri Prabhupada, it means he's making a leela out of it. So it's not Prabhupada, it's Prabhupada. And you will see even advanced devotees don't realize this, and so they have become accustomed to chanting in that way. So you can find a way to repeat when they are saying Prabhupada, that you can follow with Prabhupada if you try and remember that, because it's not actually a good thing to be saying. Right. Spiritual masters passing gas and making a leela out of it. It came a little later, I had to explain, especially since I heard class yesterday and you had nice commentary, which could not be heard. So if anybody has questions today, walk closer to the microphone here, and then we'll be able to hear the questions. So again, I had made mention the other day that the world has accumulated enough atom bombs now to destroy the whole world. But Srila Prabhupada is pointing out here that they can't. But they do have enough to destroy all the capital buildings of all the nations. And so, practically speaking, they don't have to destroy the earth to destroy the functions of government that are existing within the earth. I also made a point a few classes back about the fact that I had seen a peacock trying to kill its baby, right? And so in order to make the mother protect her baby, I threw mud at its feet, and then immediately, instead of trying to kill the baby, the mother went to protect the baby. Here, we see that it is being pointed out that this battle was taking place on the earth because of the potency of the weaponry. It could affect it could affect other planets. So similarly, we are not the only planet that has these destructive forces. And so if the planet is attacked by outward sources from other planetary systems, it would very much be a force that would pretty much push everyone in this planet to work together. Because now, with that, if that would happen, and it's quite possible that it can, it would be a unifying factor. Just the same way when there was a bomb attacking the World Trade Center. The following Sunday, almost everybody went to church. And what do we call him? Bhakta Osama. And see, these forces from outside, when they're attacking all of us at the same time. So this is what can happen when these ice caps melt. Because this is going to be so disastrous. It's going to happen. People don't know why. They think it's our burning of petroleum. That may add some little bit to it. Just like a man standing next to a house burning, smoking a cigarette. His smoking a cigarette is not good for him, but if he puts it out, he's not going to put the fire out. So our burning of gasoline may contribute somewhat to the melting, but no matter how little gas we burn, those caps are going to melt. And when that happens, the effect of it will be that everybody in the world is going to realize the need to work together to help their neighbors. It's like yesterday I was talking about Mother Kunti's prayers to Krishna. And see, it does that to everybody. Disaster, when disaster comes, hopefully it wouldn't have to bring us to that point. But when disaster does come, people find as the last resort, they cry out to God, even atheists. What's his saying in the World War? There's no atheists in the foxhole, in the, what do they call those holes? Foxhole. And what do they say? Fire in the hole. Right. So these outward attacks that will happen from nature itself, as Srila Prabhupada points out here, that Krishna being in control of everything, all these powers, karma, false ego, all these forces, the material energy, Krishna is in control of all of it on every single planet in every single universe. So he's going to allow what will happen to especially those who are not following his ways, because this calamity has the effect of being able to break down the communication systems of every nation in the world. It would be nice to see the world unite before this calamity strikes. But the way things are going now, and you see this not only in the United States, but throughout the world, political factions are fighting against each other in the world. And government is not made to divide people, it's made to bring people together. But it's a peculiar thing that when destruction comes, it has a unifying force. So just like the thieves breaking into a home, mother and father may be arguing at breakfast time about what they believe in, what they think about, what they should be doing, this thing and that thing. But as soon as the outside perturbance comes from a thief or a bomb or whatever, then they're immediately forced to work together. So this is also admonishing us about Queen Kunti's prayer, that we can obviously see that these calamities that come upon us, we look at them as very disastrous to humankind, but ultimately, if they have the effect of bringing mankind together, it's actually a good thing. And what to speak then, if devotees are going to be protected through this thing, because as this is pointing out, Krishna in control of it. We have seen so many times devotees put into the same kind of experiences that quote unquote karmis, right? People, fruitive workers, are put in. And a fruitive worker will get his head cut off, and a devotee will be standing right next to him and not be touched. This happened in This happened in an airport one time. This also happened in the streets of New York when the Trade Center was bombed. There were pieces of the building falling out from the building. People walking on the streets were getting hit. A devotee was on his way to work, and right next to him, something came down and just cut that guy's his head right off.
Ooh, wait.
Yeah. And the devotee was standing right next to him.
Wow.
Not a touch.
Yeah, like they got on that airplane.
See, this is Krishna's protection. Because Super Soul in us, if we, as human beings and as souls, part and parcel only of the Supreme Lord, can develop these latent abilities to fight off Brahmastra weapons, to fight off atomic bombs, then what to speak of Super Soul in us? And he's the one controlling everything. So the same one that's controlling the external energy is the same one who's controlling our life circumstances as well, right? That's Krishna. So devotees can take great hope that no matter what happens, we do not have to fear whatsoever. The modes of material energy, the effects of the modes of material, we don't have to fear these things. And Srila Prabhupada is revealing in this purport because Krishna is in total control of all these things. See, they can't even think without Krishna enabling their consciousness, and he can make suggestions to them that they think are their own ideas. Men do that, and they take credit for it. All these things we do with the energy we have in this world, we want credit for it, because we want a reward for it. And this keeps us from being able to see that Krishna is the doer. And we think ourselves as being the one that is doing all these things. But it's by desire that Krishna allows it to happen. So he fulfills desires. And so that's why we have to purify our desires and develop that really strong relationship with Krishna to know that we don't have to be afraid anymore of anything, of death or anything like that. For a devotee, there is no such thing as death or leaving this body as an end. It's not an end. It's a new beginning, actually. And glorious it will be for the devotees who are engaged in the divine energy, the all-powerful energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because when we say spiritual, we're meaning eternal, we're meaning all-powerful, all full of knowledge, and these attributes that are credited to the Supreme that are poo-pooed by the general populace, it is what the devotee takes full hope in and has full faith in. That is Krishna's divine power that keeps us every day and protects us. With the ability of these weapons to destroy this being brought out here, these two Brahmastras had the ability to destroy other planets even, heating up the universe. Krishna was concerned for the well-being of the other inhabitants of other planets even. This fire was so hot. So with that, he's revealing his ability. None of the Pandavas were experiencing the kind of drastic heat that would have been felt by them because of Krishna's protection. All of these enactments the children play and plays that they make give society, it might seem like a simple thing for kids indulging in, but because these pastimes are non-different from Krishna himself, and the same acting goes on in the spiritual world. And we see in the pastimes of Krishna brought out in the Krishna book, that the gopis and the gopas, they were also acting out these things that Krishna did because it was so, to them, overwhelmingly powerful. There's a snake described in 10th Canto, Krishna book. This snake was huge. It was miles long. And when it opened its mouth was so huge, the devotees, the gopas, they saw it as like an open cave. This thing didn't even look like a snake. So they entered into the cave. Some of them were saying, this might not be a safe place to go. Another gopa say, Krishna will protect us, don't worry.
Okay.
So they get inside the snake. So Krishna went inside the snake also. And this thing was so huge. Now we have evidence of present day snakes. We see a snake 40 feet long, and fear immediately grabs the heart, especially if we saw it in person. But can you imagine a snake miles long? And who would there be to protect anybody from this thing? Now, they've got wild animals roaming what used to be considered the safest forest in the whole United States. But they have these huge, bigger than bears. They're like ape men, right? And now they're finding these events happening in many of these parks. As these caps melt, we are going to see an invasion from the inner earth. Those species of life that are in there, that's described in Bhagavatam as the middle earth. And these are those that were prominent on the earth during Satya Yuga. See, they find residence. This is the area described in the Bible as the Garden of Eden. And it's a place that has tropical, paradisical type situation all the time. There's a sun that stays the same distance all the time from the inhabitants on the inner surface of the earth. And so it's like constant, same temperature all the time. So they have seeds there that we don't have. They have vegetables there and foods. The same way that we're seeing the heavenly planets have things. And when Krishna's on the planet, when he is requested by a wife that she wants one of these flowers, he will take a flower from another planet and give it to her. Yeah. So this is revealing to us that there are so many other forms of life that we're not even aware of. And some so foreign to the human being that even when they are made manifest, people think of them as folklore, right, or stories. They have not studied even 10% of the ocean and believe that they've found everything. They have we've discovered it all, we know it all. And yet constantly new so-called, quote unquote, new species are, revealing themselves. And some of these, by the appearance of them, you would say they are, quote unquote, prehistoric. There's really no such thing as prehistoric because Krishna is recording it all. And in our language, prehistoric simply means before we had the ability to write it down on paper and record it as historical fact. But Krishna is revealing history that nobody else has. And so we can, by becoming familiar with these things, it allows us to overcome the fears. If we are exposed to these things for the first time, we will realize that, oh yeah, I remember hearing about that, I remember seeing about that. So this helps to break down our fears as well of what things may very well be coming. So as well with this turning of the earth to become a heavenly planet once again, when the golden age is fully manifest, devotees will be gaining abilities. The knowledge of God will be filling our minds and our hearts to the extent that even cities will be made available to us. It can become smaller than the smallest, bigger than the biggest, heavier than the heaviest, lighter than the lightest. You can go from here to the other side of the planet by the speed of the mind. Your body can be transported there. You can have understanding of other languages as well. Krishna has endowed souls with the Sanskrit language. He didn't sit and study it or learn it from it. He endowed them with that. Well, how difficult is that for Krishna when he's just sharing his thoughts with us? That's what he does ultimately with that. So it's not our own abilities, it's Krishna's ability in us that he allows to come out. And so when that happens as well, we can know, my God, that will be a glorious experience for us to have Krishna revealing his mind to us. Can you imagine? That makes nothing impossible for the human being. Krishna and Balaram, in play, they jump off of mountains miles high.
Yeah,
Just for fun. Because they want to. For the same reason that the sky is blue.
Okay.
Because Krishna wants it to be blue. Because he likes that color. So see, we think as human beings, everything has to have a reason. Everything has to have a purpose. And so, in effect, we could say, yeah, Krishna's purpose for himself. Does it for his own pleasure. So this is the ultimate purpose of everything. Everything is made ultimately in this material universe for the living entities to come to know Krishna again, to come and be reminded of Krishna. Every form of life that we see is revealing within itself some little aspect of Krishna's ability. Gathering honey. The silkworm I was just reading. The silkworm is in a process of what they call metamorphosis, right? But what it does is, by its own spinning of its mouth, it wraps itself up in what is called a cocoon. But in effect, it's trapping itself. Think of this thing as a prison, isn't it? You want to wrap yourself in your own spit? Sit there for months until you turn into a butterfly. But basically, that's what they're doing. And then amazingly, human beings can take that same kind of silk and make clothing out of it. So see, this is also evident in the spiritual world. Every living entity is performing these functions that it has, no matter what form it takes, but to create the clothing for Krishna. And then Krishna passes his clothing down to us. So this too happens in the spiritual world. But everything there is made, nothing wears out. Nothing wears out there. There's evidence that in this material world even, the presence of God preserves the body and can preserve our clothing as well. When the children of Israel, it's recorded in the Bible, they were walking through the desert for 40 years.
Yeah.
40 years.
Killed that whole generation.
Whole generation, yeah, so they could die off. But God had spoken to them and told them, look at the clothing you have. You're still wearing the same clothing that you came out with, and it's still fresh as new. This is a preservation of the presence of God. When we get into personal experience and association with Krishna, our eyes start to see all these things in nature. And there are buildings that were from previous yugas that he has preserved as well. Just like Dwarka, the city of Dwarka, under the ocean now. And they find opening one door of this submerged city of Dwarka off the coast of India. Opening one door, they found a pot full, a big pot full of jewels worth more than $1 billion in today's value. And that was just one pot in one door. This city, you can imagine how many doors there are in a city, and what to speak of Krishna city. Because in Krishna city, the doors had to be big enough for him to walk through, and he was 12 feet tall. So, and these kinds of valuable gems are not even available to us today, some of them. And you can read in Shrimadbhagavatam the various names of birds, names of flowers, names of gems that we don't even have today.
In what canto?
Evidence of all throughout Bhagavatam.
Okay.
When you're reading about the Munis, there were various Munis who were given planets by Krishna. You will see that these planets are created with environmental circumstances that amazes the yogi who's being accredited with being able to create these planets. So there opens up to our minds when we take this into consideration that Krishna is equal to all. And the same credit Krishna is giving to these previous saintly souls for having performed these activities, that he rewards them with a planet.
Yeah.
This is the devotional service we're engaging in. Same devotional service. The same person, Krishna, who is the same to all living entities. See? All these things make us aware. We're not supposed to be looking at this enviously and say, how come he gets this and I don't? No. Krishna is revealing the potency and the pleasure he takes in his devotees for carrying out his principles and his process, so that he, by the love that Krishna is, he gives. And so he gives unlimitedly. Who could imagine? You can imagine waking up one morning and then having your own planet by the end of the day, to go visit. But this is Krishna consciousness. Now, as devotees, anything can happen. Anything can happen. Before I even knew Krishna's name was Krishna, I knew there was Super Soul, because by prayer, the Bible challenges, says, when you pray, pray in quiet and secret, so nobody else knows. And then when you go out and you see the effect of that, you will know, wow, God's personally hearing what I'm asking for. And this is meant to, as an impetus to us, to stay on the path. Just like an account is given of a young boy who was the son of a king, and having wealth and everything else all of his life, taking it for granted. As a boy is in his young years, somewhat rebellious, he left his father's kingdom, and then ended up eating the food that they're feeding animals. Finally, with a mouthful of food, he thought, wow, when I was in my father's house, I didn't have to beg like this. So he went back to his father. And his father was so overwhelmed with love by his return that he opened up his whole kingdom to his son and said, my kingdom is your kingdom. And so, see, this is the way. If we, as human beings, can have that kind of love for our offspring, what to speak of Krishna, who is love itself, who is love combined, from whom the purity of love is revealed as a person, Shrimati Radharani. So Krishna is the controller, the giver of life, the giver of love, the giver of realization, the giver of truth, the protector of devotees. He's everything in perfection that we want, that we're looking for in our association with each other. And all we have to do now, he's opened the path for us to stay on the path and continue in this process of Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, we can sing forever and ever and ever. Like Narad Muni. We might not have a veena to be able to play, but we have a voice. And if our voice is gone, we still have a mind. They can't take your mind away from you. And with that mind, you can perform as glorious or even more perfect devotion and service than you can with your physical body. You may be dying in a deathbed, and yet offering to Krishna the most opulent forms of paraphernalia, arctic paraphernalia there are, pure summer gold. You could offer an arctic lamp made of diamond to Krishna in your mind.
Right.
And Krishna is accepting that form. It's called Mana Puja. Puja with the mind. Arti with the mind. So.
Kanta Prabhu, can you speak about Radharani for a little while?
Srimati Radharani.
Srimati Radharani.
Wow. See, I had no idea. This concept, because there's a statement in the Bible, there is none beside God. What is the statement? God is himself. I don't remember the word for word, but it seems to suggest that God is alone, almost as though there's a time in history in which until he creates, right, there's nobody else. But there never was a time when Srimati Radharani and Krishna were not beings, eternal. They are eternal. The eternal nature of the soul, when people talk about an eternal burning hell, they're acknowledging that the soul is going to exist eternally, but without complete knowledge. And so similarly, without knowledge of Srimati Radharani and her activities, she's the enabler. She's the one that enables us to go into the kitchen. She's the one that enables us by her energy to develop these abilities that we have with cooking and all this. She's the source of all this kind of knowledge. And then from her comes the goddess Lakshmi, who is in another form in order to accompany another form of Krishna that he expands into. But see, a Christian will look at these expansions of God from time to time and time, thinking that we are thinking there's more than one God. So similarly with Srimati Radharani, she's non-different from Krishna, but at the same time, she is some substance of love that when Krishna looks upon her face, he sees in her more happiness that she is acquiring from serving him than he is believing himself to be experiencing. This is why he takes on the form of Chaitanya, so they can both experience that together. See? And that's what love is. See, another thing that's not acknowledged by this belief that God is alone is the understanding that the force of love is of a giving nature. And so there has to be two for love to be manifest. Right? How do we see love manifest? Not by one person sitting there meditating for his own need of making advancement, but But love itself is manifest by the giving and receiving of two individuals. And this is, in its purest state, Shrimati Radharani and her attitude towards Krishna. You'll see in their conversations, though, she's a challenging one sometimes. You think you're God, she'll say to Krishna. You think you're God, don't you? Like that. And so, because they're both of the same nature, she is in a position to be able to do that and draw out from Krishna that which will bring her happiness also by their relationship. So when Krishna takes the place of a boatman, right? They don't know it's him, but they got to get across. So they board the boat. Krishna gets halfway through the boat and says, "Boat's sinking." He pulls the plug out of the boat.
Okay.
"The boat's sinking. We must be having too much weight. You better take all your jewels off. Throw your jewels into the water, otherwise the boat's going to sink." And throw the jewels over. Boat's still sinking. "God, your saris are very heavy. You should start taking some of your top clothes off." So Krishna plays like this with their minds to see how they will react. So when they're bathing, 7 years old, already Krishna has attained such a, fame, right? He's acquired such fame. He's killed this mile-long snake. He's conquered a horse that was a demon horse, threw him up in a tree. He's fought so many demons like that. He's become so famous by 7 years old. Every girl, every woman in the whole city wants to marry him. And so when they go to bathe, while they're bathing, they're praying, "Dear God, I want Krishna as my husband."
Okay.
Now Krishna knows what they're praying. So he goes and he steals all their clothes. And he sits in a tree with all their individual clothing. Now they're bathing naked, right? Which they're not supposed to do anyway. But that's the way they do when they're bathing, and they're all friends with each other, so they're bathing naked. So now they got to get their clothes from Krishna. And Krishna's looking into each and every one of their eyes. And he sees in each and every one of their eyes their chastity. And he knows the thoughts. He's super soul. So he's with them as well, knowing exactly what they're thinking about him. So this is how he takes part in his pastimes, which is pleasurable to him. Now, a lusty man reading these pastimes might think, "Oh my God, see, God's just like we are. He's given over to this lust," but not at all. And Srila Prabhupada warns it's very important for us to realize the pureness and the purpose of Krishna's putting them into these dire sets of circumstances to see how they will respond. These bodies came from him. The design of the body came from him. He's not agitated by it. He's not influenced by sexual pleasure or anything like that whatsoever. His body doesn't function like that, like ours. So as we develop with the mind the same kind of pure consciousness towards all of the living entities, be them female or male, then we also will get a more pure realization of what kind of relationship human beings should be having with one another, which is brought out in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Because eventually our relationships will bring us flavor. Because right now, flavor in our minds have put flavor as that which is only used to taste food with the tongue, which is a form of lust. All of the senses of this body are made for the pleasure of the living entity, because that's why we've come here. We've wanted to enjoy separate from Krishna. And so this human form has the function of being able to do that to the extent that it can find that pleasure apart from Krishna, which makes it the external energy of Krishna. Because there is no nothing else but his internal and external energy. So if we're going to try and find pleasure apart from Krishna, it can only be with his external energy. And as we know by experience ourselves, that nothing in this material world can actually offer the perfection of that happiness we're looking for. But it can be found in Krishna. And that's what they find in their relationship with Krishna. So then, when devotees are making an offering to Krishna, right? They're putting food on the altar. 5 years old, Krishna comes to the altar and steals the offering, so-called steal. And then the offerer has to go to his father and say, he's stealing my offering. And then Nanda Maharaj, has to talk to Krishna about it. So these pastimes go on that when you come to learn, God is actually funny. He's the source of happiness. He's the one that makes things funny. When you analyze what is a laugh, what makes us laugh? It's Super Soul's energy in us that allows us to see from a perspective that somehow tickles something inside of us that makes us laugh, And it's just Krishna's nature that you see in his life. That he's also, everything he's doing is for the pleasure, his own pleasure, of course. But by experiencing his own pleasure, he gives all that pleasure to all the living beings around him. So when he killed the snake, they were all so happy and satisfied. But the snake, having been killed by Krishna, the smell of it surrounded the whole area for miles. And just like Putana, witch, her body grew to miles long as well. So these are latent abilities. And as God's power entered, it's already there in all human beings. But human beings have to be brought to the realization of it for it to fully manifest in the earth. And that's what this process is for. Yes, David.
When he killed these demons, they instantly...
We have a question.
When he killed these demons, did they instantly became Krishna conscious?
Well, sometimes, but what happens, because they are demons, that perfection they're searching for, they want to be the most powerful, right?
Yeah.
So Krishna lets them enter into his body. See, that's a form of liberation. That's why, Rande, I might make you aware of this by a lot of the yogis, that's what they're seeking for. They want to become one with God, which seems like a very honorable, venerable desire. Krishna reveals that it's a form of envy. We want to become God because of the situation we're in. We wish we were God because he's more powerful than we are. We want to be the controllers, the enjoyers. And so Krishna, as I was saying, who is all giving, for those who have that desire, he gives it to them. And they enter right into his body. But here's the problem. That's how we got into the material world. We were in Krishna's body and then got into Brahma's body. So it's one impersonal feature that we are able to have satisfied for us that pushes us into a situation without Krishna. So that's why we have to make our desires pure to please Krishna, to get into the proper situation with Krishna. And that's where humility comes in, acknowledging the force that is all-powerful. What does it say in the Bible? These are words of Usha. He says, don't be afraid of someone that can cut your body up here on the planet. Be afraid of the one who can cast you into the darkness, eternal darkness. Like we were saying in the other class. See, there are demons that have this desire so deeply rooted, who have been involved with demonic activities, as we talk about the black arts, for the abilities. Some of these black arts, you can have people killed. There's mantras. I had a book, Mantras and Tantras, shows you exactly how to kill another living entity. You fill a pot with these things, and this bird takes the pot and drops it on their head. Well, the problem with that is, if the soul that it's being dropped on knows what it is, he can send it right back to you, and you become the receiver. So see, all these black arts, they also have the ability to cause the participant to be the receiver of that which he's putting out. So that's why we don't dabble in those kinds of activities. We only want to bring liberation to the souls, to enable souls to be able to see God as love that he is, and as the one who will give us the desires of our hearts. And therein lies the problem, the desires of our hearts. But if we develop that desire for purity, we develop that desire to love Krishna and to reveal love to everyone we come in contact with, just the same way Krishna is giving, he will give us that. So if he is so ready and able to give to those who are studying black arts to bring harm on the living entity, just imagine how much he wants to give us purity of love, when he himself is love, and promoting all of this in order for that love to be made known to all the rest of living entities. So, by this consciousness of how much God wants his will to be done in us, then we come to surrender, and then by opening up our consciousness in that way, saying to Krishna, do whatever you want with me, Krishna, I'm yours. You do it. I can't. It's not my power. It's not my ability, it's your ability in us. Then that puts Krishna in a place to be able to do that. He's not gonna force you. You don't like eggplant. Then Krishna doesn't force you to eat it. But it is said by Hari Bhakti Vilas, Sanatana Goswami says, Krishna doesn't like the eggplant.
Okay.
I didn't know that. I've been cooking eggplant for Krishna because it was one of my favorite foods. I've been cooking eggplant for Krishna almost every meal I'd cook of vegetable, subji would have eggplant. Until I learned that. Now I haven't cooked eggplant since.
Okay.
See, this helps us by reading by these personal associates. See, that's the difference with the Bible. You read the Bible, and people don't know. The Apostle Paul was not a personal associate. He had no personal association other than getting knocked down off of his horse and blinded, and saw him as a light. And this is the impersonal aspect and feature of God that yogis are looking to become one with as well. That's how they enter into various inanimate objects even. See? If you want to become one with the energy of God, you can enter into a rock. Crystals are inhabited by yogis who have wanted to become one with the energy of God. And they carry latent abilities by the soul that they have developed to that point. Then that particular stone can give you the benefit that yogi had acquired. And so you see a science of gemology. I'm running over time, but you see as a science of gemology that every stone has a certain effect upon our bodies. So kings were given the authority to be able to put diamonds in their turban, and this gave them special powers. But if that diamond had a little crack in it, the same amount of potency that otherwise would enable them to have power would be to their detriment and can cause them death. And the science says that women should not wear diamonds. And what is this society doing? Every woman who gets married wears a diamond. And if they have the least little bit of flaws, it can cause disturbances in the family that they don't even know is happening. This is all revealed in the sciences of Krishna. Everything is covered, yes.
So what's the thing?
Right. Sorry.
So it comes back to the famous slogan that they say here in America, that a diamond is a woman's best friend.
Can't talk to her greatest enemy.
And so therefore, that might be one of the main reasons that people understand the woman that they met before they married, how she changed in the course of the relationship.
There you go. Wow. See, that's another thing. But here is the thing, too. Women who are born, we see as women. They could have been a king in their last life. And this is why they're carrying out the sexual desire that human beings are having, each of us in different levels, are carried over from our previous lives, that we have had success with those feelings of. And we've had family, we've had children, and all these things. And so these things are still in our consciousness and in our patterns of thinking. And that's what Krishna consciousness is given to us to be able to iron out, so to speak, straighten out, and get right with. So yeah, see, though women may be appearing to us as being women in the form they're taking now, just as we also appear to be men, we've been women too. And carrying over the same desires life after life after life. And then some now are being born with mixed up ideas, and whether they don't know whether they're a man or a woman. They're carrying over. You get born in one life, you have such a wonderful experience and you love it, that's what you think about, and you get born in the next life with a different body but the same desires. That's what's happening. And that's what the scientific community doesn't understand without the knowledge of reincarnation. And that's where science is really missing. By cutting off God, they don't know that there are sciences existing that they don't even know exist. Like this gemology, like astrology as well, like we were talking about yesterday, which is looked at as a, I don't know, kind of a offshoot something. Entertainment or something.
Yeah, horoscope.
What is it?
Horoscope.
Horoscope, yeah. Yeah, they call it horoscope. I don't know where that term came from. Horror. Horror.
Horror in the scope.
Look down the scope to see what you're going to get, right? Right. Any more questions, comments, realizations, anything like that? Grantaraj Shrimadbhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada. All praise to the Ascended.